Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful and safe New Year's celebration. We are starting out the new year with a very new superstition. If we started out in the Philippines last time, we're going all the way to the other side of the world for this one, the United States, the South specifically. Without further ado, let's get started. Did you wash your clothes in the 1st of January? I hope you didn't, because you're just asking trouble if you did. There's a superstition in the South stating that doing the laundry on New Year's Day is considered washing a loved one away, or washing for the dead. This means that someone in your family will die during the year. I know it's still a death superstition, but this one is specifically practiced on January 1st. Before we get started, I am going to do a few disclaimers. 1. The origin of this superstition, like all superstitions, is vague. There are similar practices from other countries or other cultures, but for this particular superstition, I'm going to focus more on the American South version because it is where most of the articles that I've read say that it is predominantly practiced. And 2, I will be touching on United States history for the context of the video. It is not a comprehensive explanation by any means, so please be aware that there will be generalizations and omitted information. If you want a more in-depth American history, this is not the video for that. Literally, it is just TLDR version of history. Now that's out of the way, we continue. Back in the 1800s, in the height of the transatlantic slave trade, the United States was one of the biggest importers of slaves from Africa. Africa, the continent, is diverse with cultures and different traditions. So these imported slaves brought in their own unique cultures to America where they were forced to live, just to make them feel some sort of home in these horrible conditions. Over time, of course, slavery was abolished, thank goodness, but the culture that these slaves cultivated during this time persisted even generations later. With culture comes the traditions and superstitions as well. With the majority of the descendants living in the southern states of America, this is where the superstition is practiced the most. One part of this culture is the belief of Simbi or Simbis, and Simbis are water spirits that dwell in springs, fountains, and other bodies of water. It is said that there's specific Simbis that dwell in each body of water, and if you don't respect their territory, then you suffer the consequences. And from what I understood from the readings is that they are just creatures that live in these bodies of water. They're not necessarily worshipped, but they are feared. And there's clearly a strong spiritual connection made by the slaves to water and these water spirits, which was possibly derived or taken from their native lands. So we have history and some context. But what does that have to do with washing your clothes and killing a family member? Well, we've established that water is powerful. And the act of washing or doing the laundry is cleaning out the grime and dirt from your clothes. It's some sort of cleansing ritual, so to speak. Now also, in one of the articles that were anecdotal recounts from old slaves about the encounters with the Simbis, quite a few of them started out with female slaves going down to the river to wash clothes. Maybe that belief could have some influences from those types of experiences. Like the fear that they felt from the Simbis could be correlated to bringing in dark or bad energy to their families after washing those clothes. But I know that doesn't really explain why this superstition is done during New Year's Day. So another plausible explanation for the superstition is from the practice of hoodoo with an H, which is not to be mistaken for voodoo with a V. From my superficial understanding of hoodoo, it is derived from voodoo teachings. Hoodoo is the practice of magic derived from voodoo teachings, while voodoo itself is the religion or the belief system. And those who practice hoodoo believe that energies can be altered and moved from one place to another with the right actions and intention. And with the timing of a new year, it can be construed as someone washing away old life in exchange for another. Now, that doesn't sound like such a bad thing, and I'd like to think that most of us don't purposely try to sentence a family member to their death, but sometimes actions may be influenced by subconscious intentions. By washing your clothes during a new year, you might be unintentionally or subconsciously be washing someone's old life for another, which in this case could mean washing them away from the living world and into a new world, which is the underworld. With just the symbolism alone, washing away the old life for a new one can bring in different types of energies and can attract unwanted intentions that the person washing the clothes may not have intended or even be aware of. So the lesson is, it's best not to try your luck with this one. On the bright side, regardless of the origin, less chores on New Year's Day gives us a chance to spend more time with the family. Then, there's less things to stress about, which in my opinion is a win-win scenario for anyone. So, when the new year rolls around, make sure you've done your laundry way in advance so you don't end up washing for the dead.